This stage of life is not about abs. It's about being able. And when I say about being able, I'm talking about the real life stuff, like going up and down the stairs without feeling winded, like walking all day on vacation without feeling any pain, right? Especially during menopause, your body is already going through enough. So the question isn't, how do I get a flat stomach? The question is, how do I stay strong enough to handle this thing called life? Let's talk about it. I'm Crystal Taylor, the owner and CEO of Fitness is Not a Game, and I am your health and fitness coach who specializes in helping women over 40 lose weight without dieting or exercising for more than 30 minutes at a time. So if you hear say, hey, if you're catching this on replay, type replay in the chat. You see I pulled my mic close. That means I'm ready to get into it. I also have my water. I hope you have yours. Because at this point, y'all, let me start by saying there's absolutely nothing wrong with vanity. Nothing wrong with it. We all want to look good. But how anybody gonna know you look good if you can't go nowhere? Because you in too much pain and you too tired that you just gotta stay in the house. I'm just saying. Houseway, make it make sense. Right. And I decided to have this conversation because um my mentor last week, I think it was, he was telling the story being at a hotel. I think they were on the 50 something 55th floor in the hotel, and the fire drill went off. The fire alarm went off. There's smoke. They have to evacuate the doggone hotel. And we were all like, you had to go down 55 flights of stairs? I'm like, yeah. And so it was interesting how many people were in the comments in the chat saying, like, man, my parents wouldn't have been able to make. But then I was thinking, like, there are a lot of people who are not grandparents and great grandparents who wouldn't have been able to make it. So I want you to ask yourself, if that was you, would you have been able to make it? And this is going down 55 flights. This is not even going up the stairs. This is going down. There are so many people whose bodies just aren't ready for it. They're just not. They're not prepared. So he said, Crystal, I thought about you as we were going down the stairs. Like, man, fitness is not a game, because at this point, y'all, a lot of us are knocking on 50 or over 50 already. We got to make sure that we are able to get through this thing called life. It's really not about right now chasing the flat stomach. For me, like, I appreciate a flat stomach like everybody else. However, what I appreciate more is freedom and my ability to survive. During COVID, I started the Black Health and Fitness Revolution because for a number of reasons. One, because Black and Brown people were dying from COVID way more than our counterparts. But then also, folks were rioting and looting. And it became scary. Every time I went to the store, I went with my knife on me. I had a plan every single time I walked to my car. What will I do if someone tries to take my groceries, try to take my car, take my purse, right? And that's when I realized, I was like, man, things are scary and crazy. Like, there were times when down the street from where I was, they were evacuating stores because of the riots, right? So that's when I was like, anything could happen. And if it does go down, and I mean go down in any way, can you get away? Or are you going to slow down everybody else because they have to stop you, because nobody wants to leave anybody, right? One band, one sound. So that means that because you aren't fit, you can't run a block, you can't walk a mile, that you're slowing people down in addition to putting yourself at risk. Now, that's the scary stuff of it, right? But I also thought about it a few years ago. I went to Zanzibar, and I always have to say it that way. I can never just say it correct, the regular way. But I went to Zanzibar with my sorors, and we went to this beautiful restaurant, like a tea type house that was at the top of this old school hotel. There were no elevators. We had to walk up those flights, and there had to have been probably 5 or 6 flights, maybe somewhere around there. And they were steep. And I remember, like, I was at the front and I'm coaching and talking them all through it. Luckily, my sorors, nobody needed a break. They all hung in there. We did it because it wasn't expected, right? But the climb was so worth it. And when we got to the top, we were looking over the city and we were just like, wow, There are so many people who will miss this view just because they aren't capable of climbing stairs. And I'll tell y'all, if you're an international traveler, let me know in the chat if you are an international traveler. But if you're an international traveler, look, they don't have the same rules and guidelines like we got here. ADA, who cares? They don't. They may or may not have elevators. Their stairs may or may not be level. They may or may not be cracked. Who knows? You got to be prepared. And when you travel, and which, like, I'm still talking about extra stuff. When you travel, you don't want to miss out on opportunities because you're like, oh, I need a break. Oh, I can't do that. I can't see this because I'm too tired, or my legs hurt too bad because you haven't been able to get them strong enough. So that's travel stuff. What about our everyday stuff? Just being able to carry your own groceries. And if you do have to make multiple trips, because I know, like I said, we will cut off the circulation to our arms, give ourselves a tourniquet with all the bags that we try to carry at once, so we only have to make one trip. But what if you absolutely have to make more than one trip? Can you do it? When you're shopping, do you have to have somebody help you with your things to the car? Or can you do it on your own? I have a client. Look, when I tell y'all she is goals, and I believe I keep saying 74, but I think she might be 77 now. But she's goals. And she said one time, I mean, crop top goals and everything. But she said one time she was at the store and she had bought a case of water. And this young guy came over and said, ma'am, do you need help? And she said, no, I don't need help, but I will take your help. And she said, it felt so good to say that, to be able to not need it. I appreciate the chivalry. I'm not going to turn that down. And the respect and deference, right? But the fact that she didn't need it, and at 77, 70 plus, she was still able to function. That's what we're working for. That is absolutely what we're working for. So as we age, things are already changing. They just are. And that's for everybody. However, for my ladies, hey y'all, hey girl, menopause can make things a little more difficult, a little more stressful, right? Because now, in addition to our bodies, just the natural things that's happening, well, menopause, we are more fatigued. We do experience more joint pain. We are naturally gaining more weight. And these are not excuses. These are like real deal symptoms of menopause. We're losing estrogen, which means we're losing our muscles. Our metabolism is slowing down. Our bones are getting weaker. We don't have as much stamina. This is just naturally what comes with menopause. So that's why we can't just keep doing the same things we had done before. Like, we literally have to shift how we look at things and how we maneuver through these things. Now, exercising is not just about looking good. It's really about functionality. What can I do that's going to make sure that I can still function the way I want to, so that I can still have freedom, so that I still have some stamina, so that I can still survive? These are the things that we're looking for. Look, I love it. Mr. Brandon said, yep, I'm an international traveler. She's right. Look, y'all can go there thinking y'all going to look for some stairs, an elevator if you want to, escalator if you want to. You got to be ready to move. So when we're talking about functional fitness, we are talking about being able to go up and down the stairs without your knees buckling. Now, I got bad joints. Shoot, I just had my VA exam the other day. And the doctor asked me, she said, do you have knee pain? I said, ma'am, have you ever done an exam on anybody from the military that does not have knee pain? And she started laughing. She's like, no, ma'am. She said, back pain too. Exactly. My lower back is hurting too. Right? But we know that our bodies are changing. So we want to make sure we can do those things, going up and down the stairs, carrying our groceries, walking for miles on vacation. I tell people all the time, when you go on vacation, don't even stress yourself. Vacations are supposed to be fun. And I'm also believe that fitness is fun, but it's not a game, right? So that means that you should enjoy everything you're doing, including how you're burning your calories, right? So on vacation, if you want to get a structured workout in, that's great, but make it an active vacation. I love when I go on vacation and I look at my watch at the end of the day and I'm like, how many steps did I get? Geez, we've been moving, right? We want to be able to do those things, to be able to walk around the areas where we're visiting and find these hidden gems, see these new sights, meet these new people, try this new food. That's why you're there. You're not on vacation to just sit in your room. And as much as I love the water, we're not also not on vacation just to sit by the pool and just to be on the beach. We want to be able to get around. We want to be able to enjoy it. Shoot, I don't have any yet, but I want to be able to get on the floor and play with my grandkids and still be able to get up. I talk about my father-in-law a lot, 95 as we call him. 95 will still get on the floor. 95 will still do planks. But 95 will get on the floor with his great grandkids and have a good time. That's what we're looking for. At this point, we're talking about being strong. We're focusing on mobility. We're focusing on flexibility. When we have all of those things, that means that we're able to be independent longer. Because 95 is still dry, baby. That's what I'm talking about. How are you setting yourself up for that? That's what I want you to question. That's what I want you to ask yourself. I said all the time, as long as you're able, you got to be willing. And sometimes we have to do a little bit more. We have to do a little bit more. It's not just about doing the things that worked for us when we were in our 20s or even in our 30s, because our bodies have changed. What they need has changed, right? I see also you have to change your diet. You have to change your activity levels. Yes, I'm going through that right now. And I feel amazing. Another thing that everybody sleeps on, literally and figuratively, is sleep. Sleep and stress management are going to be two of your biggest tools in the process. Look, and strength training. Look, Miss Stephanie, look here. Kudos to you, all the things. So they call me the water bully. So drink up, y'all. But then they say the second thing I'm a bully of is sleep. When I look at my watch, I don't have this watch for my steps. It's cool, it's on there, it's just there. I track my sleep. That is what I'm working on. Because I used to be one of those people who real big and proud of being able to function on 5 hours. All I need is 5 hours, 5 hours. No, ma'am, no, I don't, not no more. No, I need about at least 7. At least 7. I'm striving for 8, because that is when we sleep, that is honestly when our bodies reset, our hormones reset. We are able to manage our moods better. It helps with stress. When you don't sleep, your mood is trash. When you don't sleep, all your hormones are off. So now your ghrelin and leptin are all off. So you're craving all types of crazy foods, things that don't align with what your goals are. Right? We got to get some sleep and managing our stress. Look, I just said that and just had a flash, because look, if y'all don't know this, stress makes your menopause symptoms even worse. That's why so many Black and brown women hit menopause earlier than our counterparts, because we live more stressful lives. Don't believe me? Think about when you're having a hot flash. And I know sometimes we think that these hot flashes come from nowhere. Are they? You can think about something stressful, get a little riled up like I just did, and have a doggone flash. So we have to do things to manage our stress. And I'm going to share this quick story, right? I've told you, for anybody, if this is your first time checking me out, let me know. Type a 1 in the chat. Let me know. And if you've been around for a while, you've seen me a couple of times, you're like, oh, there go Crystal. Type of OG in the chat. Shout out to all of y'all. But My OGs have probably heard this story. For my newbies, let me share. In 2016, as a matter of fact, Friday, September the 26th, 2016 to be exact. Hey, Brandon, thank you for checking me out on your first day, right? But on that date to be exact, I was preparing to do my second figure competition. I was on my way to lunch. I was walking to the grocery store to go get something. And I realized that my right leg was tingling. My right foot was numb. Dang it, I know what that is. I go to the doctor after work, as I suspected. He tells me it's sciatica, that I had to take a break from training for my competition. I'm not too happy about it because we're about 5 weeks out from my show. And I'm like, so I'm hoping it's just a pause and not a stop, right? Fast forward to the next week, just a few days later, I'm in Vegas for work. And now I notice my left arm is tingling, right leg, left arm. This is not a good thing. What the heck is happening? So I come back, I tell the doctor, and they said, well, you need to go see a neurologist. The neurologist is asking me all these questions. Now they're concerned I have MS. So now I have to get these MRIs, and I have to get a couple of them. I don't like those. I ain't scared of a lot. I'm a pretty tough chick, but those MRIs, putting my head in a cage and all that stuff packed up, I didn't like it at all. Freaked me out. Anywho, so I go through all of these tests, running blood work, all of this stuff. And it was so bad, y'all. That was in September. It was so bad, it got to the point I couldn't go up and down my stairs at home. I could barely drive. I struggled going to the store because I was so weak. I had to sleep on my couch in my family room downstairs. And I'm just like, what the heck? Everything comes back clean. The only thing that was off was my vitamin D. It was a little low. And then the doctor started asking me, like, what's going on with you? What's your life like? And yes, I was stressed. There was a lot going on. One of them being that my older baby boy, my first son, had just gone off to college at 16 years old. And it was stressing me. Didn't realize it was hitting me that bad, right? So once I realized it was stress, was able to start managing my stress a little bit better, started getting healthy and get stronger. That started in September. I wasn't able to go back to work in the office on a regular basis until like January, February. Like that's how long it lasted. It didn't, I didn't put two and two together until I started having these conversations about menopause and doing research about menopause, that those symptoms I was experiencing in 2016 that they thought were MS, it was actually menopause kicking in. Ain't that a blip? My therapist had told me, Crystal, I think you're premenopausal. And I was like, nah, everything on my pipes is still working. And she was like, it's not just that. At the time, she was talking about the mindset, right? And that's a whole nother thing. Like when we get menopausal, ladies, let me know if you feel this, but our setting boundaries game is on point. Look, she was like, yeah, you've changed in that sense because I've always been a nurturer and a pleaser. And I finally start becoming okay with saying no. And I had never done that before. And she's like, oh, that's menopause. And I was like, really? Didn't believe her until all the other stuff happened. But I say all that to say, to confirm what Miss Stephanie said, we have to focus on things differently. We have to sleep. We have to manage our stress. We have to strength train. Because if we don't strength train, I already told you our estrogen is going down, which means we're losing muscle, we're getting weaker. And you are going to get osteoporosis if you don't strength train while you're going through menopause. Again, it's not about just looking fly, which ain't no wrong with, because we all want to look fly. It's really about functionality. I want to still be able to do the things that I do now in the next 10, 15, 20 years. I love the fact that I love sitting on the floor and there's nothing for me to get up. I love the fact that I can still balance on one foot when I'm moisturizing my feet or changing my shoes or whatever, changing my clothes. I love that I don't have to sit down to do those things. That's honestly something that I test myself with frequently. And the reason why I do that is because years ago, I was probably my late 20s, early 30s, maybe somewhere around there. I was at the gym. And here in Chicago, it was cold. So I would wear my workout clothes, but then I would put sweats and a hoodie, t-shirt, hoodie, all that stuff on top of my workout clothes. Then when I get to the gym, I strip, go do my workout, right? And I realized one day that I was the only one who was able to stand up and change her clothes. There was a lady who was obese, who was sitting down and she was struggling changing her clothes while she was seated. And then there was an elderly lady who was also struggling to change her clothes while she was seated. And I was looking at the elderly lady and I was like, wow, one day I'm probably not going to be able to balance like I can right now. So I'm going to appreciate this. So that's part of the reason why I still work out now, because I want this feeling, I want that ability to last as long as possible. Again, I'm not working out right now at 48, for 48. I'm working out for 68, for 78, 88, maybe even 98. Things have to be different. It's not just about what's going to get me the flattest stomach, the tightest thighs, the tightest butt, the best shoulders. Those things are cool, but it's really about, okay, what do I need to do so that I can keep moving? And that's how I want you to think too. That's honestly how I want y'all to think about it. Because it's at this point, we're not just aging, we are literally transitioning. Literally. So, how you move through this beautiful transitional phase of life called menopause, it truly does matter. It really does. So, it's not, I don't want you to say, oh, well, Crystal's saying I shouldn't worry about looking cute. No, 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 no. Anybody saying that? Anybody saying that? But I want you to think about living at this point now. And, it's so interesting because, and I'm going to say this and I'm going to get ready to let y'all go. But when I first started training years ago, I really thought that my clients would be like me. At the time I was in my 30s, and you know, that didn't happen. I realized that my average client, like right now, my average client is probably like 55. And I was just like, that's interesting. And I say average, but the majority of my clients are probably 65 and up, like, so maybe it's closer to 60, right? And one day I was like, I wonder why. But they said, Crystal, because you talk about life, you talk about living. And yes, these strategies that you give, I'm losing weight. I'm able to wear clothes I haven't worn in 20 years. But you aren't pushing us to just stress ourselves out and do boot camp works and diet so we can lose all this weight. It's really about life. And that is what I've been pushing for the longest. I want us to live, y'all. And I want us to enjoy this thing called life. And right now, we're in the phase where we have to look at it differently. It's not about drinking detox teas, aka boo-boo juices. It's not about restricting yourself to 1,200 calories. It's not about doing 5 workouts in a day. It's not. It's not about just trying to reach a number on the scale. It's really about living. It's really about living. So for my ladies who are in this phase, you think you're in this phase, you notice that your body is changing and you don't know exactly why. You're like, what the heck? And you're looking for some help. I do have another training coming up. I have a free menopause training. It's called Stop This, Start That, 6 Things to Make You Feel Better During Menopause. It's absolutely free. But what we talk about are the 6 shifts that you need to make during this time so that you can feel better during menopause, so that you can take back control over what's going on with your body. And you can, the link is in the description, but it's just losemenopauseweight.com. And then you're like, Crystal, you talking about it's not about menopause weight. It's not about weight. Let's be real. That's probably one of the first things people notice that they don't like. They'll deal with the hot flashes if they still losing weight. Tell me I'm lying. I'm just saying. So, Make sure if you're interested, it's free. Just an hour. Come hang out with us. The next one, I believe it's July 1st. Share it with your friends, share it with your family. For my fellas who are here, if you know somebody who's possibly going through this phase and they could use some help, share with them. But my goal is to help as many women get through this phase without feeling like they're going crazy, without without uh driving their friends and family crazy, right? Because it's been that way. All right. I did a whole bunch of apologizing before I realized I was going through menopause and figured out how to start taking control of it. I ain't saying it's all perfect. No, no, no. I'm not saying that. But it is way better than I have been before. So if y'all want to join me, you are cordially invited, personally invited by me, to come hang out. So I'm going to let y'all go on this beautiful Friday. If you have to go outside, please be safe because I want you healthy, I want you happy, and I want you here. And hopefully I will see you next time. All right, y'all. Have a good one. Bye.